What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Fightful Wrestling Podcast, January 10th. If you all missed the Fightful MMA podcast yesterday with Elias Theodoro of the UFC, or yesterday's with James Lynch talking to Showdown Joe, go check those out. We have added daily MMA podcasts as well. Tomorrow mornings, Sean Pearson. I will be on with Joe Thursday. I'll also be on with, I think, Jimmy Van tomorrow afternoon for the Fightful Wrestling podcast. But tonight, I am joined by Jeff Hawkins. Jeff, are you excited for FightfulMMA.com?
I'm fascinated by this brand split you got going. Now, will you have like a draft of like talent and stuff? I mean, is Alex going to be possibly traded over to the MMA brand or something to that?
Oh no, he can't stand MMA. Like, I am the Undertaker. I go where I want.
Is this going to be? Do we have enough business to justify this expansion? I hope so.
Well, listen, the MMA side may want Matt Riddle.
Okay,
you never know.
Okay.
Fun fact. Fightful.com contracted podcasters have only one loss in, I think, 14 UFC fights since 2012. I am responsible for 0 of them. Hashtag undefeated.
Just don't be the Stephanie of one brand. That's all I ask. I heard that. Yeah,
maybe I will be.
I heard Alex yesterday tried to broker some way of switching off to Smackdown, and not yet.
I told him, I was like, maybe we can get you on SmackDown. He was like, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would.
The thing is, Alex has to cover Raw too. Like, that's what I brought him originally in for, was to cover Raw, and he does it so well that when we got him the associate editor thing, we were like, well, you still got to do that in the pay-per-views.
Actually, I'll give him something to look forward to. He can have the go home Smackdown, because I think I'll be on a plane that night for WrestleMania, because I'll do the Monday go home Raw, and he can do Smackdown.
There we go. And it looks like we may have you for the post NXT show.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, you should.
Nice. Looking forward to that, guys. Of course, we got podcasts doing. We have more podcasts than anybody. I'll just say that. FightfulMMA.com coming soon. FightfulWrestling.com coming soon. You'll still be able to find everything at Fightful.com. Also, you can see right down here, follow at Fightful Wrestle, at Fightful MMA, and at Fightful Online. That way, I know some of you don't like the MMA tweets or don't like the wrestling tweets. You get your choice. You can get just wrestling, just MMA, or all of them. What the hell's the matter? We had Smackdown. What did you think of the show, Jeff?
I thought it was okay. I think it was a little bit of a step back from the previous weeks. It feels like they put so much effort into Raw that they kind of forgot about SmackDown tonight and kind of cobbled something together. I think.
You think they put a lot of effort into Raw? I thought Raw sucked.
I didn't think Raw was very good, but I think they put all their attention towards it.
Man, that show was horrible.
There were some things that bugged me about this SmackDown, to be quite honest with you.
You know what bugged me about Raw?
Everything.
It existed.
Oh, jeez, yeah, no. Everything about Raw was pretty bad. I thought it seemed like their solution for the college football championship was going to be more Stephanie.
Oh boy. So we had this SmackDown. We start off with an Ambrose Asylum, where Miz eventually comes out and threatens legal action, which I believe you predicted.
I did.
You did.
Although I loved the reveal of the Miz participation trophy for Miz. I thought
wasn't that wonderful?
That was fantastic. That was great.
He really is maybe the second most decorated wrestler in WWE right now, behind Chris Jericho, who just won the U.S. title for the first time.
Yeah.
But now let's see. Apollo Crews, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, they are in elite company right now as participation award winners.
Did Apollo Crews get one?
Yeah, he got one on a SmackDown Fallout.
Oh, okay. I don't watch a lot of the Fallouts unless they're like exemplary. So, okay, cool.
Well, that one seems pretty important now, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, now I got to go back and look for it. So,
yeah. By the way, we're having some tech errors on the site on Fightful.com, guys. You may have seen that. The red page that'll come up, but that'll get fixed. Don't know what's up with that. It'll be repaired. Also, the Elias Theodoro podcast, we're not doing an audio version of that. It's just going up a video this week because there were some tech issues. Elias was traveling. In the future, those will be available via audio.
I'll ask you a technical question while you're plugging everything. Are the podcast feeds going to be split between wrestling and MMA, or is it still one feed?
I think it's going to be one feed.
Okay.
I think it'll be one feed. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher and, of course, YouTube as well, guys. Now, moving forward in the future, most of the shows with Elias, with Sean Pearson, with Shane Helms, with Matt Riddle, those will be members only. Now, it's a free website. You never have to pay a dime. Go there, Fightful.com. Register absolutely free. You get early access to those shows like 4 or 5 days ahead of time. Check it out. We had, by the way, Miz and Ambrose both entered the Royal Rumble. This Royal Rumble's getting pretty stacked early on.
Yeah.
Jeff.
And I think it possibly has the most intrigue of any Rumble since possibly 92 even.
I would say that. Last year they had the good hook of Reigns defending his title, but people kind of saw what was coming.
Right.
Right now, there is no clear path.
No. It's not like all 30 of the participants can win this, but there's more than usual. Usually you get down to about 3 or 4 guys. There's about 6 guys that could win this thing, and they could just plug into a main event story right now. So, I mean, and you know what? That even includes Triple H somehow appearing and winning this thing.
Well, my hope is it's not a situation, even if it is 6 people, where they ended up like Roman Reigns against Kane and Big Show. Where and I was told that Vince was like, people will buy it. They won't know.
They'll love it.
They'll love it.
Big guys. Yeah.
Nikki and Natalya brawl. They were supposed to have a match. Well, in commentary, they say that these two were best friends. When?
You know, I think that's a total not total bells, but total divas story. I actually kind of liked this segment quite a bit. I liked them.
Oh, I like.
I think they potatoed the crap out of
best friends.
They potatoed the crap out of each other during this thing too. But you know, I like the fight feel. I thought that was kind of a cool little throwback type of thing. I mean,
it was a good brawl.
It's nice to have a pull apart brawl where it's not just the main stars, but it's people further down the card. So you know that gives that program a little bit of juice to it. I liked it.
Yeah, I did like it. Natalya stood tall for once. She did a sharpshooter outside the ring. I saw a lot of comments that were like, oh, do submissions hurt more outside the ring? No, that's just where she happened to be, dumbasses.
I think that's a callback to the Paige thing where I think Michael Cole made that big deal about her putting the move on the table so it hurts more.
Where she wasn't touching the table.
Right.
We had Dolph Ziggler backstage with Dasha Fuentes. She screwed up again.
This was bad. This transition was bad. It's like she went from and now speaking of which, it's like that has nothing to do with it.
I don't even think she said speaking of which. I think she just said which. I'm here with Dolph Ziggler. I'm like, okay, what is it?
What is the over? Here's a poll for you for your Twitter handle. Does Dasha Fuentes make it through WrestleMania?
Oh,
I don't think she does. I don't think she does.
Didn't they pull her? What was it she debuted on?
NXT.
And they pulled her immediately because she fucked up a bunch.
Oh no! She was on a Raw that they pulled her from. I think they put her on to Smackdown. Right?
There was something. There was something that she did live. I feel like it was a big. Oh man, I'm gonna find this.
It might have been a takeover. She might have been doing a takeover, I think, possibly.
I think it was. Either way, she's been screwing up a lot.
Get ready, Andrea DeMarco. Your call's coming. Or Kathy Kelly.
Yeah.
One of the two.
It was Kathy Kelly that messed up a bunch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kathy Kelly did some backstage stuff, and she screwed up a lot. They put her on these
social media
deals. That's who it was. My apologies to Dasha Fuentes. She waited much longer to screw up repeatedly. Dolph Ziggler doesn't talk at all. So, okay. He faced Kalisto. He switched up his in-ring style. I like that. He went more towards his amateur background. He had some nice, like, scummy offensive maneuvers, but Kalisto surprised him with a win.
Yeah, they're going to give him a losing streak gimmick again, aren't they? They went from him being a loser face to a loser heel. As soon as they turned it.
I thought it was supposed to be the catalyst to change that.
Exactly. It's like, at least give him one clean win before you F it up. I mean, come on. Now,
and what was the point of Kalisto beating him if Dolph is just going to turn around and beat the living shit out of him
with a chair, which Baron Corbin did earlier as well? So it's not. It
gotta save that heat for Kalisto.
It feels like it hasn't been planned out.
I would be shocked if that were the case, Jeff. Apollo Crews comes out. He gets molly-whopped with the chair, too.
That's a great word. That is molly-whopped?
Yeah, he did. He got just Crooklyn stomped with that chair. Like, it was an ass whipping of epic proportions. We're like, that was cool. And this is Dolph Ziggler's babyface turn.
Oh, shoot. You give me an Apollo Ziggler 7-minute match where they're just going all out. I'll take that on. I'll take that on pay-per-view. I'll watch that.
I will too. I'd say all three of these guys are in the Rumble, especially with Kalisto getting all this heat off of this. I have not heard a person make a damn peep for him in months. Well, he wasn't around for months. It's part of my vernacular, Jeff.
I love it. I'm stealing it. Are you kidding me?
Come on now.
Try and use it everyday diction.
Come on now. I like to space it out. You got to make it mean something. Smackdown Tag Team Championships, American Alpha defeated the Wyatt family. American Alpha did a backstage promo, and I don't think it was, like, bad.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think it was bad. I mean, it was, well, in comparison to...
in fact, I tweeted to the point that the guy who wrote it should be fired. What is so hard? What is so hard? Oh, they came off as arrogant douchebags. Even though they made a point to say, we're not being cocky, we're being confident. I'm like...
Yeah, that was my problem with it. They should have been like, we are being cocky. We are douchebags.
I got to disagree somewhat. I mean, this is the one team right now on this roster where if you were going to do a throwback white meat baby face, hey, we're just here for the fans and stuff, this is the one you need to do it to be sincere. This is the one. And they can't do it because... Vince has this hang up about manliness and stuff where everybody has to be tough guys. And you're just like, look, they are. Don't get me wrong. I like them a lot. It's just, you need to get them, you need to get the crowd on their side. And this isn't going to get the crowd on their side necessarily. The way they do babyface promos now, the aw shucks promo basically goes to guys like the Hype Bros, unfortunately. And this is a team that you could do that with, and they'd become vastly more popular than they are now, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that. I thought this promo was
I don't disagree with that at all. I do agree with that, but I think that they could pull off the so good that, and they know it well because they're that talented.
And the other, they are that talented. But in this promo, to me, only one guy was exuding charisma too, which is an issue.
WWE used a really weird entrance angle for American Alpha that really showed how much smaller the arenas they are in now. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, okay, well, we see how terrible this is. Also, Otunga is terrible on commentary. When he and JBL are having this back and forth, and he goes, no, JBL, trust me. These guys know what they're doing. I'm like, would you shut the hell up?
Yeah, it was even so much as the little things as those two coming to the ring, which was interesting because Chad's slapping the hands of fans and Jason just looks disinterested. It was the whole package came off a bit clunky. I like
ironic since this tag team saved Jason Jordan's career.
Yeah.
I'd maybe be a little more into it. I don't know the last person I've seen have this kind of chemistry with Bray Wyatt in the ring is Gable. I really liked their interaction. I thought that was fun to watch, and I was like, oh wait,
I'm
spot where he watching Bray Wyatt in the ring.
When he does the full speed cross body where they both just slam into each other, I thought he almost killed Chad Gable on that one.
Yeah.
I mean that's always an awesome spot, but a guy that's with the size difference, it makes it even more of an impact, and you're just like, wow.
I thought it was an interesting, pretty good match overall. It teased dissension with the Wyatt family. Jordan sold for a while, which you don't often see in these American Alpha matches. What did you think about the match?
You know what? For what it was great. I didn't understand the end so much, but I liked. I thought Randy Orton's slingshot suplex was very impressive, especially given that they use ropes and not cables, and you get that height. The height he got on that thing was pretty darn impressive. And yeah, I liked the story they told at the end a bit with God, I forgot his name, Harper super kicking Bray. Yes, thank you.
What a sell! Yeah, that sell was great. He did the splits.
Yeah, he did kind of the drunken leg, can't keep your balance up there, punch drunk thing. I thought that was pretty darn cool.
That was great. I loved it. American Alpha capitalized on the Orton Wyatt miscommunication and got the win. There was a line JBL used. He called Orton one of the great closers in WWE history. I did like that tagline from him. But that was just a little something I wanted to throw in there. American Alpha, where do you see this reign? Wyatt family, where do you see this going?
I think it goes to the obvious split between the latter, at least the split between Randy and Bray, probably at WrestleMania. I think that's.
They're surely there in the Rumble, right? Those three.
Yeah, they're in there, and then something happens with miscommunication there, and that continues the feud to culminate at WrestleMania, where Randy goes back to being a full face. American Alpha. I think they eventually get into a blood feud with the Usos, and I think the Usos probably end up taking the belts at some point, and then the American Alpha ends up getting them back, and maybe you could bring up the Revival after Mania at a feud.
Not a bad idea. We had Becky Lynch and Alexa backstage talking to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan makes a steel cage title match. Do you think this will enhance or take away from the type of match that they work? Because we've seen it happen both ways with different sets of people.
I think it'll probably take away. I'm going that way. I think I'm not sure the two of them have had long enough matches and creative enough matches where they'll know how to do spots off of that cage with one another. I think they may try and do too much, which may make it come off as sloppy. I'm intrigued by it, though. I think it's a nice natural progression of the feud. I like that part of it. And I think, you know what? I'm not going to undersell it, but I'm not going to oversell it either. It's something that it's another test for Alexa Bliss more than out of the two of them, in my opinion.
They speculated that maybe Eva Marie was La Luchadora, and Becky Lynch says, no, she's way too vain for that. I had to catch up with this through a commercial. I was checking out Kentucky versus Vanderbilt. But I actually thought it was Eva Marie when I saw Becky's hair, and I was like, she's back! And I was a little disappointed, which should tell you about, I don't know.
I don't think she's ever coming back. I think this is...
Really?
No, I don't. I think she's into her fashion line now. She started that. She's a businesswoman. I think this whole WWE thing is mostly running out time on the contract, to be honest with you.
I'd be okay with that. I felt that little gimmick that she had was good. I wish they would do that, bring her back, then pay it off by her getting beaten like within 10 seconds. Just cold-cocked beat, write her off.
Okay. I'm fine with that too. If that's her swan song, I mean, and that's pretty much her legacy anyways, sure.
Yeah. They forced another fucking Golden Globes reference into this. Oh, you're no Meryl Streep. Oh, why? Why?
Because it has to be seen as culturally relevant, which automatically makes it irrelevant for any historical
you think
context.
They're going to have Russian prostitutes pissing on beds next week?
It's going to be a Rusev bit. Sure.
Oh, Lana and Rusev heading for the split. I see.
Oh no, it's an edict from them. They have to have a cultural reference every week, and I think it just makes it. If you ever rewatch old episodes, those are the worst jokes they have because they just feel so stale at the time and forced. And you're like, why? Just go on with your lives, guys.
I got a lot to say about the next match.
Good.
Carmella with James Ellsworth. She beat Thunder Kitty. Ellsworth helped Carmella win. I'm liking the Carmella Ellsworth stuff. She is taking him on a shopping spree. And you can tell this was just one of those dumbass lines that was written, but I popped for it anyway. He goes, "That would be great. I haven't bought a new suit since the time I was supposed to graduate high school."
Was it high school or college?
It was high school.
Okay.
When Carmella said she had something for him, he used breath spray, which apparently is still a thing in 2017. And instead of gum or any, I guess people still do that. I didn't know that. She did not kiss him.
I like the dumb chemistry. I just wish they weren't playing up Ellsworth as so oblivious and such a mark for it that nobody can really buy into the fact that he'd really believe that in a case. If they tone it down just a bit, it'd be really, really fantastic. And here's a reference for you of an old movie in the Patrick Dempsey Can't Buy Me Love sort of vein, where the girl is using the nerdy guy and he thinks he's gonna. Oh yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see what the payoff is. I'm wondering if they're gonna bring up someone new as Carmella's fella. That's the thing I'm wondering. Like a Tino Sabatelli.
Oh God.
Or a Dolph Ziggler. You know what they're gonna pay it off with probably is Jack Swagger.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
He's not doing anything. Sure.
This match. Shit,
Woo!
man.
Ooh, go to your rant. The floor is yours, Senator.
All right. No disrespect to the woman herself. Thunder Kitty was fucking terrible. I mean, like, all-time bad performance. A lot of people are like, well, they needed to bring back squash matches. They need to bring back jobbers, enhancement talents. When your enhancement talents are people who have been wrestling for 8 years, and this is how they look in the ring, and I saw a bunch of people blaming this on Carmella. Watch Thunder Kitty, how she gets into a damn ring, and then tell me that it's Carmella's fault. Oh my God, I don't know where to start. From
let me give me a kind of a yardstick here to compare it to. Did you find it worse than either the match that Crazy Mary Dobson screwed up in NXT or the Tessa Blanchard Alexa Bliss match, which didn't go off terribly well in NXT, or do you find it much worse than that?
Well, those two seemed dangerous. This seemed inept. Okay. There was a little bit of a difference there. Like Mary Dobson, when she got reckless and Alexa Bliss got pissy and kind of beat the shit out of her a little bit, that was Dobson seeming a little reckless. And actually, Rovert was like, go back and look at that match again. And this was like maybe 8 months ago, and I was like, Jesus. It was even worse than I remembered. I don't much remember the other one, but this was just complete ineptness from body language to everything. And they were clowning her hard on commentary. And I felt bad for her at first. But her gimmick is like world's oldest wrestler. I've seen her wrestle like one time before. It was against Kelly Klein. It wasn't that good.
No, I saw her once in Shine, I think it was, and I just, it's okay. My problem was the commentary was so bad and so trying to bury her the whole time. I couldn't notice how inept the match was, so that's why I'm kind of deferring to you on this.
Watch her crawl in and out of the ring. Watch her miss spots, all that stuff, and I just thought it was really, really weird that people were blaming Carmella for this, and I'm like, I've never seen anybody take reverse STO on their knee before. And that wasn't Carmella.
Well, who are the sources of the people criticizing Carmella? Were they indie workers?
I don't know. I'm sure there will be a few. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people criticizing me for calling her out. There was somebody on Twitter that said Thunder Kitty deserved a better match than this. I'm like, I don't even know how to approach this shit because I don't know from what angle you're coming. Did she deserve a better quality of a match, like in the ring? Well, that's on her. Did she deserve a better opponent? Because no, she didn't. Did she deserve a better spot? Well, she's on prime time on USA Network on Smackdown, so no, she didn't.
I think you're going to find the people who go onto her side on this will probably be her friends in the business. I'm
not trying to pick on her personally. It's just this was a bad match. I'm sure I'll get the people. Could you put it a better one? Could you put it a better one? I don't care.
How's your territory?
I know one thing. The point of kicking out is to get your fucking shoulders up, not to plant them further back onto the ground like what happened here. You kick out, you sit up. You get your shoulders off the mat. This was bad. This was terrible. This was miserable. It mercifully ended with the code of silence, which is how I would like to treat this match moving forward.
Do you feel better?
Baron Corbin.
Do you have it all out there?
A little bit. I mean, you know the types of people I'm talking about that are going to come after this. You know that. You know.
Yeah, I know. Half of them will be in my DM say, tell Sean Ross Sapp, blah, blah, blah.
Well, oh, man.
And tell him to unblock me.
It was bad. Maybe I cleared my block list the other day.
Okay.
I wonder how long that'll last. Cleared my mute list, then went right back and muted a person. It took me like that. One of those people that I'm like, you are a fan, you are not the worker type of thing.
Yeah.
Had to mute him. How long's your block list, Jeff?
Not very much. I tend to mute people who put me on long lists of people you're adding. If you're like adding like 6 people in one tweet, and keep doing it, I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't need to be copied on this necessarily, but mine's not very long because usually I'll read something. If I don't like it, I'll just move on with my life. But you're a man who is verified, so you have far more people adding you for validation and self-esteem purposes, Sean Ross Sapp.
I do. I legit had to change my Facebook name because
oh no,
people were adding me. Yeah. I did like one of those little fan page things that I rarely update. Because I didn't want to be that pretentious douchebag that has like shirts of him. You can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Ross Sapp, but they're not Sean Ross Sapp shirts. They are Kraken Fight Team shirts. They are Catch's Catch Can Wrestling shirts. Hopefully soon a Fightful shirt.
I, on the other hand, hope to be that pretentious guy that sells. No, I don't.
You never know, man. Nah. Dream
big.
I just wanted to say Rex King passed away, and his family started a GoFundMe to help with the funeral costs. The link is on my Twitter if you all want to go to it. But a guy by the name of Chris Jericho heard about it and immediately met the goal.
Yeah, because when Chris was starting out, as I recall, the Thrill Seekers in Smoky Mountain Wrestling were teamed up against King and Doll, who were known as Well Done in the WWE and also in Smoky Mountain. And they basically, that was their feud for like the first 3 months of being in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, as I recall. So yeah, I believe they had a fairly tight relationship, at least in Chris's early years of wrestling.
Let me circle back to this because you'll be a much better person to talk to about it than I would be. But okay. We'll cover this main event first. Baron Corbin versus John Cena. I thought that Corbin had a pretty decent promo before the match. He started it off really well, in my opinion. It trailed off into his typical cadence, but he started it out with a type of authority that I've not heard from him before. I wish he would have stuck with that. What'd you think about that and the AJ interaction?
I agree. I agree with your analysis is exactly what I was thinking. I think it's probably due to the fact that later in the promo he was trying to remember his lines. Mm-hmm. He had his emotion down for the first part of this thing because he knew his lines, had his lines down pat. I liked AJ in the interaction too. Just do what I do. Beat up John Cena. I like that. I liked that promo better than the John Cena promo earlier in the show, which that's the John Cena I don't want to hear. That's the put upon, very close to putting on an accent that's not his type of John Cena. That I find that John Cena grating. I do. The I'm here to entertain everybody, John Cena. It's like, oh, no. I like intense John Cena.
And that's why you do get people saying, oh, he's fake. Yeah, because he does do that fake stuff. Corbin dominated this match. It's a much different style than we've seen lately out of him because Cena is physically composed much differently than the Zigglers, the Kalistos. And it was a much slower paced. Corbin brawled a lot. Cena hit a tornado DDT. One of my favorite things about the match, now I love Mauro Ranallo. I love him as an announcer, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, wrestling. He incorrectly called a sidewalk slam a deep six.
Deep six. Oh, yeah.
And AJ goes, I don't know about that. That was a sidewalk slam, but he did it in a way that didn't bury Mauro Ranallo. But it seemed like Mauro took offense to it.
It's not that Mauro took offense to it for me. It's the fact that JBL then came back on commentary and called it a modified deep six. So somebody, I think, was telling him to call it a deep six.
That's weird, isn't it? Because it was not a deep six in any way.
No.
It was a sidewalk slam. And AJ Styles just played it off as, I know my opponents better than they know themselves. I know all their moves. I know what they're called. He was trying to save it.
And I think he's probably going to get yelled at by a producer, unfortunately, because if JBL's coming in and calling it a modified deep six, I think, we shouldn't have done that thing. I liked the match itself. I didn't like the story of the match. I thought Baron Corbin is far too much of a badass to keep getting distracted by AJ Styles that way, and I still don't believe they beat him clean like that. I thought that was the most fascinating aspect of that match, was that they beat Baron Corbin clean at this point in his career.
AA, pin, Cena wins.
That is fascinating, especially since they were building up all these programs against big guys, it would seem, on across all the brands. You had the Braun Strowman one, you have the Goldberg Brock one, you have Nia Jax now interjecting herself into the Raw women's title, and then you had Baron Corbin on the Smackdown one. So, and of course you have Shaq in the Big Show. So that's interesting.
That was Smackdown. I thought it was an okay show. I did not agree with the Baron Corbin losing like that.
Not clean, yeah. That's just.
I mean, it could be worse. It's Cena, so I mean, it could be. He ain't losing Ellsworth here.
Let's put it this way: it's not the most angry clean pin of the week for me so far. So I'm willing to forgive it a bit. That would be.
Who does that go to?
Bailey on Raw, just getting leg dropped and pinned. You're like, really? Okay, you're not even gonna cheat. You just beat her down until she gets pinned. Great.
She's been pinned quite a bit, though.
Yes. Doesn't mean it's smart, especially if you're building her up as the person who from your champ on the Royal Rumble, which isn't going to happen, but that's okay.
If you all have any questions, send them on the YouTube, because the website's being kind of wonky right now.
Are you going to watch this? Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask
your memories.
Oh, go.
Come on now. Hold on. Your memories of one Rex King, also known as Timothy Well of Well Done, because I don't really have any. So
I wasn't terrible. He was one of those. It's weird because it's made mention of in every Smoky Mountain retrospective you'll hear. They were signed to WWF, and they were one of those groups in kind of the talent exchange that got brought down to Smoky Mountain to help work with that territory at that time. And they're an old Memphis-style team to me, with these two kind of bigger guys. And the problem was the style of wrestling was changing to a more high-flying, high-impact, quicker style. And they got teamed with the Thrill Seekers week after week after week on Smoky Mountain Television, to the point where it almost got repetitive. And I don't think they gelled that much, but I do think, at least from reading interviews and listening to interviews, that Chris Jericho learned a whole lot from working with them, and I believe Lance Storm feels the same way. So I'm not going to knock it. It was a styles clash for that territory at the time, in which things were changing between what people liked in their wrestling and what people were used to in their wrestling. It's very much a precursor to then what would turn into ECW, so to speak. But Smoky Mountain at that time was really, it had one foot in the past and one foot trying to be in the future, and it couldn't really decide which foot it wanted to keep its weight on. But that's my big memory right there of Well Done / Doll and King. I know people who followed Memphis probably have better recollection, although they never really, they weren't the top tier tag team. They're always kind of your basically mid-card, solid guy type of tag team that you put your young up-and-comer white meat baby faces up against, and they'd have solid matches and make them look good.
I have more memories of reading about them as the Southern Rockers than watching them as Well Done, because I kept up with some wrestling as a child via the magazines. So, and unfortunately, even Scott Peterson, who was with them for a couple of years, he's gone. Steve Dahl's gone, and now Rex King. Unfortunate. All three of them taken much too early.
And he was also involved in the CRT lawsuit, if I recall correctly, as well. So that's going to be interesting.
We are asked if the brand split is a good idea so far. I think if you're for SmackDown, yeah, definitely. Which I think go ahead.
Yeah, I think if you're on SmackDown, definitely. I think if you're a woman on SmackDown, definitely.
I would have to agree. Also, if you are an NXT talent that is coming up, I would generally say yes. Although with Apollo Crews, maybe not.
There are a few exceptions. Jack Swagger's done nothing since he got moved over to the brand. Yeah. Apollo Crews has had flash.
The nothing that Swagger has done is more than what he was doing on Raw.
That's very true. And of course, you have Kalisto, who comes out and gets killed every week.
Maybe Jack Swagger will have an in with TNA eventually, since he's got a friend there. What do you think about that?
What do I think about
Jeff
what?
Jarrett and Dutch.
I'm a fan of Dutch. Dutch was the guy running the Smoky Mountain training program when I was intrigued in it. I think he has a lot of good creative ideas. I think at this point it's so far gone, nothing can save it. And I think Jeff Jarrett's trying to save it to save his legacy. I don't think he's going to. I think Anthem are going to put the final nail in the coffin, but they're going to give it the old college try. I mean, look, I think one of the odd precursors. I mean, you got Drew Galloway's contract is up, and I'm fairly certain he may end up back in the Rumble. I think. Mark Andrews getting plucked for this UK tournament is interesting. This is their
third.
His
contract expired.
Yeah, so. This is their third or fourth time at a first impression, and they never push out anything that's necessarily noteworthy. That's the problem. They never really generate any buzz other than this broken Matt Hardy deal.
It's very true. They had a title change, and I have not seen one person talk about the title change that happened as a part of the spoilers. Not one person on social media. Apparently
for the observer feedback, not one person submitted anything about their pay-per-view on Friday.
Wow, we covered it, and there was little to no reaction. And there's always, like Alaskan Fighting Championship, you get a little something. It's weird. Guys, go check out Jason Kincaid's Pro Series article. It's under our exclusives, wrestling and then exclusives. It's called Wrestling in the Streets of Mexico for $42.26. He is the man. This TNA situation happened last week, and it caught. I published another article. Go over there to our wrestling exclusive section. You'll hear much of this, but it caught the talents off guard. But I had one prominent wrestler message me as I'm getting the information and publishing it and says, "Glad you know things before me." And then they said, "Well, we almost expect this to happen before every taping, something to happen." Now, I spoke to a lot of people, employees, talents, people who are no longer there. And the consensus that I got was a pretty positive one. Like the old college, might as well try it out situation. It's not going to hurt any more than what's there. One person said, "I'll believe Dixie doesn't have an influence when she's not associated at all, whether it be as a minority owner or with Anthem."
I think that's my crux. I want to see. Yeah. I want to see what it's like with Dixie not involved. I want you to prove it. I mean, I don't. Who's the guy that's head of creative now? It's the former WWE guy. I can't remember his name. Producer.
I don't know.
Did Tough Enough as well.
Oh, John Gaboric.
John Gaboric. I don't have a lot of faith in him, per se, but Dixie.
There's some people that like him. A lot of the former WWE guys like him, and a lot of the other ones don't like him.
Right. I think they see him as competent of knowing how to run a big production house type of deal like WWE does. I just look, if this is what you're producing, okay, fine. I'm interested to see what happens without Dixie's fingerprints all over it. I just don't. I just think they're going to be going after. Look, one of the problems I've always had with TNA is that they always seem to want to be WWE light instead of something of their own volition. And I don't think this solves that problem necessarily.
I'll never forget ordering TNA Unbreakable 2005, and I watched that main event, and I was like, I'm not getting this shit in WWE. I am not getting AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels versus Samoa Joe in the WWE, especially at that point when they're rolling with like Kenzo Suzuki and Luther Reigns and people like that. Hardcore Holly versus Billy Gunn on pay-per-view shows.
Look, the two Bound for Glories I went to were fun. I liked those. I mean, I liked the tag team division way back in the day when it was like Triple X versus America's Most Wanted. I think that was great. And they had a strong tag team division. The best thing they ever did was had the Knockouts division built up very, very strong, and then they never really cashed in on it. So, I mean, they've had chances.
It devolved into sneak attacks and backstage fights all the time with their Knockouts division. Jarrett, obviously, he's been in talks with Anthem for over a month. I did that thing. I had reached out to him for a comment on the story. Gosh, who was it that I had always seen making those tweets about Jeff Jarrett guitars? And I was like, I want to investigate this. I'll find the article, that way I can give him credit. But I reached out to him for a comment in like late November, early December. And he was like, I'm not doing media interviews right now. And I was like, that's weird, because Jeff has always, need a comment, I'll give you a comment. He's a salesman. That's what he is. I mean, he sells fucking gold.
Always been nice to Rob also. So, I mean, he's a
good dude. He is a very, very good dude that will give you what you need. And he was like, not doing media. And I was like, that's weird. That's super weird. So I suspected something was up. I didn't know it would be to this degree. They call him a consultant. It's a little more than that. Because I had, let me pull up this text. You saw who was back, right? Now, this is 12 hours after I had reported it, but yes, I did. And he goes, it's more than what people are saying. So, I mean, I don't know. And obviously, like, people are going to ask me to prod Shane about it. I don't ask people who work for us or work with us stuff like that. I'll ask them for public comments on the air, but I think it's a conflict of interest if I prod them behind the scenes. Also, Shane is all too happy to say, fuck off for a week to me. He would love to say that. Hey, guys, we're doing UK tournament coverage Saturday, Sunday.
I was going to ask about that.
Come check that out, guys. I don't know shit about it. I've been so swamped.
Yeah, I've kind of looked at it. I mean, there's a few names that at least one retread, but it looks like they're going to be giving the push to this Jordan Devlin kid who was trained by Finn Balor, the Balor protege. I think, according to the pre-show video, it seems like he's going to be the guy that they get behind to be the number one babyface. I find it interesting that they want to make it for lack of a better term, they're hoping for a touring show, I think, in the UK with these guys. I'll be interested to see the creative. I don't know. It's fascinating when they're doing it and how quickly they've put this all together, and that's running a weekend where, unless you're the hardest of hardcore wrestling fans, you're probably not going to watch it live because football is going to be going on. American football, at least for the foot. So maybe it is just for the Euro crowd. I think, I've heard that that the plan for 205 is to try to make it its own touring brand. I just don't see that happening either. So,
hell no. So, maybe 100 people per show. Yeah.
I mean, unless they start running in American Legion halls, trying to take the PWG crowd, I don't see that happening. I think they're trying to push something that hasn't naturally occurred yet in terms of a fan base, and they're going to need to cultivate this a bit more. I'm interested to see what they do with the tournament, but just a tournament for its own sake to tell a story for a title that really doesn't mean too much right now. It's going to be a hit or miss proposition, I think, and especially with a lot of guys that a lot of guys don't know. That's
One more round of plugs before we talk about our last topic. I have my SmackDown and Raw features that go up the morning after 8 a.m. Eastern. Check out Most Ridiculous with Anna Bauer, one of my favorite video segments, period, like in wrestling. I think she does it a lot better than many do. She puts in a lot of work for those. Go check those out. They are at the top. You'll see our little scrolling bar of features at the top. We're having some issues with that. It'll be fixed. I did a feature about The Miz, why I hate him so much and how good he is, because he's very good. Also, I did a feature yesterday about WWE getting Roman Reigns over at the expense of everyone. As always, Brandon Howard's putting out a lot of great stuff. He has a great piece about New Japan coming out tomorrow. Also, UFC Fight Night 103 coverage this Sunday, not Saturday. It's Sunday. BJ Penn returns against Yair Rodriguez. Come hang out in our live discussion area. If you have a Discuss account, you can come and chat, talk some trash. You can do that for Raw, SmackDown, TNA, NXT, Lucha Underground. All of them. I reported today, Access is really they're cutting it close with these Wrestle Kingdom things. They got Jim Ross and Barnett in there today to produce a show that is going to happen Friday. They also released the schedule. Omega versus Okada. That's going to be happening Friday on Access TV. So if you all haven't gotten a chance to see that,
it's fantastic. Go watch it.
I would highly encourage it.
Yes. The last 4 matches of that card were each different styles and each individually really, really good matches, I thought.
Kushida is one of my favorite workers in the world, maybe ever. I think he's one of my favorite workers ever because I am a catch wrestling guy, and I love the use of the double wrist lock that he just owns. Omega Okada immediately was my favorite match of all time.
I just loved the hard hitting of the Goto Shibata match. I did. I thought that was
not my cup of tea, but I'm going to watch it over again when it's not 6 a.m. and see how much I like it, because I'm willing to do that. You guys got to check that out. Now, Jeff, I am the greatest wrestling podcaster in America. This was voted on. Voted on, Jeff.
It wasn't hacked by the Russians, huh?
It wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I would go as far as to say I am a 6-star wrestling podcaster.
Oh, don't do this.
But Alex asked a very interesting question.
Oh, Mr. Raw, Alex?
Yeah. What does a 5.5-star match look like? And wouldn't it be considered an insult to get 5.5 stars, even though that's better than 5 stars?
Probably now, but I mean, Dave, who we're talking about Dave Meltzer's star rating system here, he has given 5-star plus ratings before, because there's one at least that I've watched, which was during the Steamboat Flair matches in '89, one that what happened at a house show in Baltimore that you can find on Fan Cam on, I think Daily Motion has it out there, but he called that one better than 5 stars. I mean, he has done this before. I think this is an era of recency thing. I mean, because you go back and you watch some of the things that he's in the moment. It's a hot take type of thing. He calls it 6 stars. I think we're going to go back in a few years. It's a very good match. I'm not sure that 5 stars is going to hold up necessarily.
I think it was immediately my favorite match ever.
Oh, it was. Ever? Okay.
Ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It was. I liked it more than any match I've ever seen in my life.
I liked it a whole lot. I'm still proud. I'm not a snowflakes guy. I liked it. I didn't like it type of thing. And I don't, you need this for comparisons. I'm like, you know what? I can like chocolate and vanilla. I don't need to pick between the two. But what do you like more?
Somebody says, I think Meltzer only gave that match 6 stars to get more attention on himself, not because he thinks it's the greatest match of all time. I wouldn't.
Look, when he did, it worked. When he gets geeked on something, he gets geeked on something. I wouldn't say he's trying to put himself over necessarily.
I don't think he was doing that either, but if he did, it worked, because you cycle through my phone right now, I have no less than a half a dozen texts from people in wrestling making 6-star jokes.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody's made a 6-star.
I'll be like, I'll send him a message. Hey, I liked your match. And one person said, it's no 6 stars, but it was good. And I'm like, okay. All right.
Dave has his biases. He loves Wrestle Kingdom. He loves New Japan, and he loves PWG. So I mean,
somebody asked my opinion on Dave Meltzer. I think he's the godfather of wrestling news. Not the best technical writer, but I don't think he would ever accuse himself of being such.
And if you were going to ask me, I like his news reporting. His analysis sometimes goes into his biases.
Yeah, if it were me, and hey, I ain't running that newsletter, I would separate news and opinion. I would have a Meltzer's analysis there, because far too often, I should really talk about this on the show with Jimmy Van instead. That's supposed to be the question where you all can ask us about journalism and asking us about Fightful, but I think far too often his analysis gets reported as news, and that's not always the case. And he is quick to tell you that that's not the case.
Also, he doesn't like criticism of his analysis, which is very
he doesn't. And who does? Who does? I don't either, but there's a difference between constructive and just douchebaggery, and a lot of people blame him for stuff that he didn't say, that he didn't report. Mm-hmm. It's like it's nuts. Somebody says I need to grow my hair long. My hair is like cat hair. It doesn't look good long. Also, I have a widow's peak here, so the longer I grow it, the less hair that I look like I have. So that ain't happening.
I don't have hair.
I'm back tomorrow with Jimmy Van. Jeff, you don't have your lower third because Google sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Ask JV how much SRS makes. Ask. Do it, and maybe you all will feel bad and encourage him to pay me more, even though he pays me very well.
And then I get a trickle down. That'll be great.
That's right. Trickle down economics working here for Fightful. Tell the people where they can find you, Jeff.
You can find me on the Twitterverse at CrepGame13, all one word. You can follow my other show with Rob McCarron, who used to do the Raw reviews over here, at Shake Them Ropes, all one word. This week, we're going to be going over the UK tournament. Raw, SmackDown, any news he feels like doing, and our top 100 match to see before you die on the WWE Network. The Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 8, I believe it is.
Get to watch somebody no-sell 5 straight flying elbow drops.
That was a rib on Hogan. I'm fairly positive of that, because they did the 4 elbows on Hogan and he kicked out at that one match between the two of them. I think this was just a rib on Hogan to piss him off.
If my memory serves me correctly, Rob is the former greatest wrestling podcaster in America before I unseated him.
You see what I do? I make you all look so good that you are the favorite podcasters in America because my ineptness bleeds through.
I don't know what time the Jimmy Vance show is, guys. I'll keep you up to date on the information at Fightful online, right down there. Hey, guys, send at Sean Ross Sapp your ideas for topics that you want me and Shane Helms to cover, preferably something he's had to do with, or something that he can lend some expertise in. We've covered gimmick matches. We've covered the Royal Rumble. We're going to tackle a lot of things like that where we can really go in depth.
I have one for you, if you could.
Okay.
Ask him if he preferred the more cartoony style of the WWE or the more straight-ahead, serious, athletic version of WCW that he was in. Even though he was in that 3-count gimmick, which wasn't the most serious gimmick in it, but WCW was still had a bastion of that old Southern style federation. Or does he just kind of prefer the camp of WWE?
Well, I know somebody who doesn't prefer camp WWE, and that's Matt Riddle. Go to our YouTube yesterday and watch Matt Riddle going off on camp WWE. That was one of my favorite. Hey, you know what? If that unseats Alex in the 2017 voting for podcast moment of the year, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, Alex, you're going to have to think of another promo to cut on me.
I don't want those anymore.
Still
I don't
mad
want
about that.
I hate that he wears the fingerless gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Like, anyway.
Let's just bury Alex for a couple minutes while we're killing time. No, let's not.
No, I need him to work. I need him to do his job. Listen, I'm swamped now with an associate editor and a full-time MMA writer. You can't believe how swamped I was before I had those two things. It was insane. And now I got to produce 5 more shows a week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the good kind of busy, as we like to call it.
I guess, hey, the direct deposit keeps hitting. Guys, Fightful.com. We're out.